Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This guy opposite me, his name is Tim, and this is Second Legacy, and thank you so much for stopping by. Today, it is arraignment day. I know Tim's excited. I'm excited, and make sure that you guys hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn the notification bell on because Hunter Biden's day is here. Tim, how amped are you? Are you ready for this analysis?
Yeah, I am, but I'm really excited about this court case because this is going to shock some of you guys. I want him. I want him to win. I want him to walk on this, and I hope that it takes the entire thing down with him. But we'll see.
Explain yourself, sir. Well, I always knew you were a turncoat, or are you?
No. So the hope is that Hunter Biden will make the arguments that we have made about the unconstitutionality of these gun laws, and if he makes those arguments successfully, then perhaps we can dismantle the 4473 system. Maybe, I mean, this is pie in the sky stuff, but maybe this will even affect the NICS system. Maybe this will affect all sorts of stuff, because if the arguments are made and then the court decides in favor of him using those arguments, it could set a precedent that could help us dismantle these institutions of infringement, if so to speak.
So to speak. And you know what that title would be called that we reference forever? Not the title, the case that we called that we reference forever in that hypothetical?
Biden
v. US. That's it.
I would get T-shirts made saying "Thank you, Biden."
Yes. Dude, so when I covered this last night, that's exactly what I said. I said all my T-shirt would say would be Biden v. United States. That's all it would say. I'm good.
Yep.
I'm good.
Well, we just have to rub it in, saying thank you. Thank you for securing our gun rights.
The ultimate irony.
Junk. Yeah.
The biggest irony. Well, you know what? You know it's good, Tim, when we're about to show the people of Second Legacy media clips basically sealing the case before it even happens. Because the arraignment day is today, and CBS, for some reason, took the initiative to just seal it for us. So with that, Mr. Producer, let's set up number one, break it down, and then we'll get it.
Hunter Biden intends to plead not guilty this morning to federal charges of lying on an application to buy a gun. The president's only surviving son was indicted by a grand jury after a judge refused to sign off on a plea deal. You'll recall that plea deal would have spared him any jail time. Senior investigative correspondent Catherine Herridge is at the courthouse. That's in Wilmington, Delaware, where this hearing will be held. Catherine, good morning.
We'll get to Catherine in a second. She can just cool her jets. Tim, did you notice something important there? His only surviving son.
Yeah, I know. They stick that in there. Well, they've been playing the sympathy thing for him forever. Every time Hunter does something wrong, well, the president just loves his son. Well, of course he loves his son. Yeah. But they're trying to excuse his behavior by saying, well, the president loves his son. And it's like, okay, but, my parents loving me wouldn't keep me out of jail if I went out and broke a law, regardless if I agree with the law or not. A parent's love doesn't excuse bad behavior, right? So,
I think that's exactly right.
Yeah. But they've been playing the sympathy card forever because that's all they got. Emotion. That's how they govern, is via emotion. It's pathetic.
Yeah. But here's the interesting part about this, because if you just watch that first clip, this is why we arranged them in the way we're about to show you guys. If you just watch this first one, you'd think, oh, sympathy piece. They're going to make excuses. They're going to let him off the hook. They're going to say he shouldn't. He's a victim. All these different pieces. You'd think that, wouldn't you, Tim?
I would. See, I haven't seen these clips, so I'm just commenting.
That's part of the mystery.
Yeah.
That's part of the mystery.
Part of the fun.
So you would think that. But every once in a while, even the media will surprise you, and we'll figure out why later on in this broadcast. But let's jump right to it, where the CBS does the work for us. So, Mr. Producer, throw number 2 in there.
According to the federal indictment, Hunter Biden is accused of making a false and fictitious statement in 2018 about his drug use on a federal gun form and to a firearms dealer. The third count alleges he did knowingly possess a firearm while on drugs. Hunter Biden has openly admitted his past struggle with addiction, as he told CBS Sunday Morning in 2021.
I mean, I went one time for 13 days without sleeping and smoking crack and drinking vodka exclusively throughout that entire time.
Any questions?
Wow. I mean, every time I see the guy talk, it's just something off about him. But anyway, so such a strange dude. But yeah, I mean, I fully expected him to plead not guilty. That's what got him in trouble. That's what burned his agreement. Well, a judge burned the agreement, but then when they argued, well, we had this in place, and then the DOJ came back and said, yeah, but you pled not guilty, which I thought he had already done. Apparently, he's going to do it again. But then they
He's
get
going to officially do it now.
Right.
Yeah.
And now we're talking about, the charges against him and him using drugs and having lied on a 4473 form because it asks you, are you addicted to illegal substances or drugs? I'm paraphrasing. But we also have a circuit court decision that says, you know what, being an illegal drug user does not preclude you from exercising your Second Amendment rights. That's like saying, well, you smoke marijuana, so you don't have freedom of speech anymore. It doesn't really work that way. It shouldn't work that way. And so, it's interesting that they're going to take this tact, and it's interesting we already have a precedent set by a previous federal court. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out, because again, this could play to our favor.
I honestly, I think that it only plays to our favor. I do not see a scenario in which it plays to the gun control narrative. Like if you back this out and you war game this for a second. Okay, so there's two options at the very high level, right? Play with me for a second. So you've got one, he goes to jail. Not likely. Like we've always said, not likely.
Yeah.
No. The second one, he gets off. Okay, well, the only way he gets off and what he's arguing is, like you said, Tim, he's going with the Bruen decision, which supports only laws that would have history, text, and tradition per the Supreme Court's verbiage.
Right.
Then he's going after a Fifth Circuit ruling, which also says, to your point, that's what you were referencing, was the whole drug users prior who were sober can't be their rights can't be constricted because they weren't under the influence of anything. That was just something prior activity. So now you've got one of two scenarios, and the most likely here is that he's going to get off utilizing gun rights arguments, which will further gun rights going forward. And CBS just aired this morning, on the morning of his arraignment, how guilty he was, and played their own own videos of him admitting as such.
Yeah. There's one thing, because this puts the Biden family and his administration in an interesting pickle. So I had to stick that in there. I'm sorry. Anyway, but it puts him.
God, what a terrible follow-up.
So anyway, this puts him in an odd position, right? And so I think there's a possibility that the court will say, boy, if we acquit him on this, then that really helps the gun rights argument. Maybe we convict him of it and give him a slap on the wrist, right? Maybe I don't know how this would work in a federal court. I don't know if they can plead to or bring it down to a lesser charge so he doesn't get hit with a felony, so he can own a gun in the future. I mean, I just see them playing some sort of a shenanigans without saying, oh yeah, the Bruen covers this, the Fifth Circuit decision that covers this. Yeah, we just got to, he's acquitted. We're not going to do this. And, that would be a very strange position for them to be put into by the court. So, there's backroom discussions going on, like, how can we come out of this without dirt on us,
the old political calculus. How do we make this work?
Yeah. And just, I don't know, maybe I'm just being too conspiracy minded on this, but I just can't. I don't know.
No,
it just seems they're going to wiggle out of this somehow and still stick it to the gun rights community,
Maybe so. But listen, Tim, as your friend and co-host, I think you're falling into the trap. The trap is, I don't know what's going to happen at the end. That's not the important piece.
Right.
The important piece is they are actually arguing from Hunter Biden, the President Biden's son, that the Bruen decision is right and that the Fifth Circuit decision is right and gun rights are right after all, because they don't want to get Hunter in trouble, while President Biden is on his tirade against the Second Amendment, making new gun violence prevention offices and new gun executive orders, all these different things.
But
that's the money.
But see, those arguments will be made, but I don't think that the majority of the mainstream media will focus on that and say, oh my gosh, they used pro-gun arguments. I think, after this is all done, whatever the outcome is what they're going to focus on. And then the arguments made will be swept under the rug. They won't report on it. They won't talk about it. They won't do any of that and give us credit for that. I think they'll try to sweep it under the rug and just focus on the outcome, especially if they use those pro-gun arguments, because they don't want to propagate that notion that, hey, you have an actual right here and it's being infringed upon.
Right.
So
it's totally possible. It's yet to be seen. It's yet to be seen for sure. But Tim, we wouldn't be good hosts if we didn't wrap this up with some amazing deliciousness at the third clip here. Because after all of this, it has to be some dark conspiracy force, something dark in the universe, right? Yeah,
of course.
Yeah. Let's get to the third clip, Mr. Producer.
In response to the indictment, Hunter Biden's legal team called the charges excessive not supported by fact, and allege the charges reflect political interference by former President Trump and his allies. President Biden has declined to comment on the charges, and the trial could coincide with the 2024 election campaign.
The president's son is being prosecuted by his own administration. So I think it puts the president in a box, and if nothing else, it ensures that this story is not going away.
You know, it's got to be those dark MAGA forces. After all, this is not supported by fact that we just played 10 seconds ago in the
right
on CBS.
You know, and
they
say, you know, the ATF never prosecutes anybody under this, except for the 400 or so that they actually do. You know, it's like they've just been trying to spin this every which way they can up to this point, trying to say that, you know, this is really a big nothing burger. You know, nobody ever gets prosecuted for this. Actually, yes, they do. And they're just like, oh, this is just, they just want it to go away. But now it's not going away. The whole plea deal, which was underhanded like you would not believe, you know, Merrick Garland was part of that, where they set up the sweetheart deal where if the court agreed to it, and they buried it in such a way that they were hoping the judge wouldn't catch what they were trying to do, but the judge caught it, was very astute and caught it. And basically what they were trying to do was forgive him for all crimes from here until eternity. He could never do prison time for anything that he's done. And the judge is like, whoa, are you still investigating him? Well, yeah, we have ongoing investigations. No. Because if you find something in those investigations, if I sign off on this, he's not going to get in any trouble for those things.
Right.
And so out the window it goes. And now it's just this extreme MAGA thing, you know, this shtick that they're pushing. Like, you know, well, and the irony of all this is, look at what they're doing to Trump. He has 91 charges in 4 different jurisdictions, I believe, and they're just sticking him every which way they can to keep him out of the 24 election. That's the only reason. That's the only reason. They didn't charge him with any of this stuff till the end of the Biden administration, after Trump announced his presidency. Then he gets hit with all these charges, right? So if you want to talk about political, you know, gerrymandering in the courts, they're doing it. Yet, and that's what's so funny about the anti-gunners and the far left. They'll accuse you of doing something that they're actually doing. This is just the courts. The only reason Hunter got jammed up is because of their own stupidity in the plea agreement that a judge caught on to. It had nothing to do with Trump or MAGA or anybody else.
Correct.
It's more likely a left-leaning judge that just got trapped by this and like noticed it and like, well, I can't let this slide now.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, hey, Tim, I'm not sure if you saw it. I have to throw something out there for everybody. This is important. Fairness. Merrick Garland, he was testifying in front of Congress, and he said he had no idea. So
he never does.
Take that into he didn't know.
Is the FBI going after parents? Well, I don't think so. I don't know. What about this memo, sir? I don't remember that one.
Yeah, no, exactly. So it's good. He cleared that up. Yeah. By the way, if you're new to Second Legacy, that was deep sarcasm. Anyway, let's keep going. So the interesting thing about this, you nailed it, Tim. So astute. You nailed it, because it's, after all, it's political interference by the MAGA forces and Trump himself.
Yeah.
What?
Isn't the
How does that even?
Isn't the judge? I don't remember. There's so many judges right now.
There's so many judges right now.
Judges against Trump and Biden, but I don't know. I don't want to assume the political affiliation of the judge.
That part doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
But the important part here is their defense. If you sum this up in a nutshell, their response to the charges, of which you just saw CBS play on live TV this morning, that's fresh, right? Of him admitting what he's being charged to himself out of his own mouth, aired on national TV in 2021. The prosecutor, or excuse me, the defense is going, well, this is a dark conspiracy by MAGA forces, and it's completely inappropriate. And Trump probably did it. It was probably political interference and election interference.
It's a political witch hunt.
Have you turned the TV on recently? Like, to your point, Trump literally is getting lambasted for anything under the sun, but that's just about justice, Tim. It's just about justice.
Yeah.
But Hunter Biden over here, that's political interference. He's on camera doing it, but it's political interference. The level of stupid. The level of stupid is so high.
Sadly, there's people that buy into this craziness.
It's so bad.
But it's so hard to tell what's going on anymore in today's world, because you have everything is propaganda from all sides, right? And so you just don't know. You just don't know what to believe, because everybody puts their spin on stuff before they preach you it and feed it to you. And you just gotta, if you really want to know what's going on in the world, you gotta do your own digging and look into things, because you just can't trust the mainstream media. And they're going to continue to sweep this stuff under the rug. And what's interesting is there's another angle to this, because you've seen a bunch of some prominent people within the DNC they're coming out. Matter of fact, one of the leadership in the DNC, I forget what committee he was on, just stepped down because he was saying we need to have a primary. They want to primary Biden. They want to get.
I got you.
There's a number of prominent Democrats in Washington, D.C. that want to pull the plug on the Biden 24 campaign and get somebody else in there. So this might even play to that a little bit, right? So they're just trying to, I think some of them want to jettison him, get somebody else in, and they may wind up using this in some way as like, look, he's unelectable. This is happening during election cycle. We got to jettison this guy. I don't think they'll be successful, but that there certainly is a push for that.
No, that's the thought. No, you're dead on. In fact, I saw that same thing that you're referencing. It's not part of our show notes, so forgive us. But off the cuff, that is a moderate Democrat from, I believe it was Minnesota, and he was on a communications, he was a chair of a communications committee for the Democrats around the election push. That was his shtick, and he stepped completely down for it.
Yep.
He did not say, I'm out of the Democratic Party, I'm never working in Congress again. He literally just said, I'm still working on this, but I'm not over there.
Yeah.
Because we need to get rid of Biden. I mean, he openly said it.
Right.
So,
and he said he wasn't pushed out.
Yeah.
He resigned just because he figured he upset a bunch of his party members. But
correct. And that shows to infighting. That shows to what they just showed at the end of this clip here. Tim, excellent tie-in. At the very end, they mentioned the fact that the Biden administration, the issue's not going away. It's going to be happening during the election.
Yep.
That is something they're worried about.
Right.
If you've seen the poll numbers, if you've seen everything that we've covered, the Democrats in the media are fighting with themselves right now because
Biden's wildly unpopular.
Part of them don't.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's not a good look. It's not cute. It's not cute, Tim. And there is some serious conversations going on, and they're running out of time, to be quite honest. But
they are.
We'll follow it.
Yeah, we absolutely will. So it'll be interesting to see how this court case plays out. We will be following it. And I'm still going to root for him, and I hope he gets acquitted, and I hope he uses Bruen and other pro 2A arguments to get himself off the hook, because that will play to our favor. It will give us ammunition going into this election cycle, and it's important because this is how politics are played. Thank you for watching Second Legacy, and we'll talk to you guys soon.